Welcome in to the Rockies Insider. I'm your Rockies Insider, Patrick Lyons, talking about an 8-game losing streak that has been snapped. Colorado finally getting win number 5 on the season and making sure they don't come away from the 6-game homestand without a victory and not the 5th sweep so far of the season. Yes, it is only April. Chase Dollander was outstanding. I've got updates on his health, why he exited the game early. Brenton Doyle breaking out of a slump. Ryan McMahon still in one, but contributing to the win in a very major way during this 2-1 ball game against Atlanta just before they head out for a 4-game set against the San Francisco Giants. But today was all about Chase Dollander. It was officially another Dollander day, and he was great. He was fantastic. 5 2/3 innings pitched, allowed only 2 hits, did walk 3, 2 of which did come in that 6th inning, in which he lost a bit of his command, all due to a cracked middle fingernail. I'm not going to show you exactly what that would look like or where it is on my hand. Got a chance to see it post-game, and it wasn't gushing blood, but it certainly was very much dinged up, and it was something that's been bugging him since spring training. Big shout out to Christian Saez of DNVR. Ryan McMahon absolutely scored a run with his glove today, or maybe even better in the case of this 1-run ball game. He subtracted a run off the board from Atlanta. Very critical defensive play there, and I believe that was the 5th inning. So Dollander, with this cracked fingernail, apparently been experiencing it back in Scottsdale during spring training, even went so far as to going to a nail salon and getting a fake nail put on. Need to know a little bit more about that. We didn't get a chance. They had a bus to get to DIA, to get to San Francisco for the 4-game set coming up. But the nail ended up holding up until about 4 days ago. And until about the 2nd inning is when that nail ended up cracking, starting to bleed. And he pushed through it. He absolutely persevered. Didn't want to come out of the game in that 6th inning, going for that first career quality start. But he still comes away with the win, his 2nd win in 5 starts. Again, no home runs like that last outing in Kansas City. Gave up 8 in the first 3 starts, but now none in the last 2. Dollander has 2 of the Rockies' 5 wins, and this victory today on Sunday was the first in 9 days for the Rockies. Lost all 3 in Kansas City, including a doubleheader on Thursday where Dollander was the starter in the 2nd game. You had all 3 against the Cincinnati Reds over the weekend and the first 2 against Atlanta. So that was an 8-game losing streak that Dollander came in and got a win against the reigning Cy Young Award winner in Chris Sale. So you talk about big games for a young pitcher. And despite the fact that his ERA might be a little bit higher than you'd like to see out of a guy in 5 starts, there is a lot there to like for this rookie. If you remember, back on his first start, when he got the win on opening weekend against the Oakland Athletics, the Rockies had, I believe it was a 6-game losing streak at that point. They'd won game 2 in Tampa, lost game 3, swept for 3 against Philadelphia, and then lost the first 2 against the Athletics, not of Oakland, not of Sacramento, and not of Las Vegas. I don't know why they call themselves that. But Dollander's very much been the slump buster. As Patrick Saunders was trying to get the nickname trending, he's the human tourniquet. He's stopping the bleeding in a big way. And this is something that is great to see for a young guy, especially if it's a struggling team like this, to go out and not allow some of the issues that the team overall is dealing with, not allowing that to get to him. Yes, he knows that the offense is struggling, but he talked about that post game. He knows that he's going to have to be precise, but he still just has to go out there and do his job. Try to live by the code of death by a 1,000 paper cuts. And if that's how you lose a game, that's better than giving up a home run and then walking the ballpark and trying to be too precious and allowing the other team to rally. You lose your effectiveness. You have to come out of the game early. You soften up that bullpen just a little bit more. But Dollander going out there, getting the job done. He was staked to an early 1-0 lead. Hunter Goodman singled, Michael Toglia doubled. He is really starting to heat up in a big way after that slow start for the first 3 weeks of the season. And then a great professional at bat by Sean Bouchard. He gets behind 0-2. then is able to slap one to shortstop for the RBI. It's little things like that that the Rockies have not been able to do, and they were able to do that, at least in that instance, to give Dollander that 1-0 lead. He does give up a 1 run back pretty quickly, walks Drake Baldwin. You had a single from Nick Allen, and Atlanta just puts the ball in play to tie it 1-1. But then Brenton Doyle in the bottom of the third, 421-foot solo home run, actually snapped a slump of 0 for 20 since coming back on the bereavement list. And it was nice to see him get off the schneid there. Ended up having a double in another at-bat. So he said post-game, and for those that are on the inside of the Rockies Insider, the vibes in the clubhouse before the game were actually very good. And don't take that the wrong way, because the season is long, and there are teams, there are great teams, there are legendary teams that when they lose a game, they don't get in their own feelings. They don't get down in the dumps. They learn to flush it. You have to flush losses in all sports to go back out in the next day and reset. Do you need to learn from that? Absolutely. Do you need to discuss the things that went wrong? Sure. But you can't wallow in that. And I think the Rockies were pressing, and they were very much wallowing. And I noticed that there was a bit of a change in the clubhouse. No one really knows why. I did ask around. Nothing in particular. I think the guys have realized, hey, we're in the big leagues. We should enjoy this. We're still great athletes. And Doyle said exactly that post-game, that, yeah, the vibes were definitely up a little bit more. And I think that can help contribute to this win, because you had all facets of the game. I've talked about it many times. The four-legged stool, the starting pitching was great in Chase Dollander, allowing only that 1 earned run. The bullpen came through with 3 1/3 innings pitched, still not allowing a home run. Jake Bird, talked to him before the game for an article over on Just Baseball. Hope to put that out in the next couple of days. But he goes an inning and a third, gets out of the jam that Dollander created by walking those 2 hitters in the top of the 6th when he just lost his command and just didn't have the feel with that cracked middle finger. Bird gets out of that jam, strikes out 2 over the course of his work. Halverson with a nice 8th inning. And then the save goes to rookie Zach Agnos. I want to get to him in just a second, but you had all of the facets of the game, all aspects of the game coming through for Colorado in a really big way. The starting pitching, the bullpen, the offense. Sure, you could say that they're leave something to be desired a little bit there when you only scratch 2 runs. But we are talking about the reigning Cy Young Award winner. We are talking about a pitcher that, double-digit strikeouts today against the Rockies, had 23 swing and misses against Colorado's lineup, but yet they managed to find a way to score 2 runs. And Dollander, I think this has been true of the Rockies all season long, but Dollander deserves the credit because he goes out there in the top of the 4th after that go-ahead home run by Doyle and does not give up a run. And I feel like we've seen that a lot. In fact, he had a 1-2-3 inning against the middle of Atlanta's lineup, Ozuna, Olsen, and Albies. I feel like we've seen it time and time again that when the opposing team ends up scoring a run, they lose their faith a little bit. Maybe they are able to get one back, but then they give one back. And that was not the case today during the 2-1 win over Atlanta. Rockies now go to 5-25. Dollander looking good. Fastball sitting in the high 90s. He's been averaging 97.5 miles an hour on his 4-seam fastball this year. For those starters that have gone at least, or has faced at least 75 players, 75 plate appearances, that's 3rd best behind only Hunter Green, who we saw over the weekend for the Reds, 98 miles an hour, or 99.2 miles an hour. And at 98 miles an hour is Paul Skeens. Chase Dollander, number 3 on that list for a guy that might be the favorite to win the Cy Young Award based on what he's done in 2025 and Hunter Green, and the guy going into the year in Paul Skeens. So Dollander keeping great company. And I don't know if he's changed where he's at in the standings, but since 2023, if you go back and look at the 30 fastest pitches by a Rockies starting pitcher, Dollander owns 25 of those Feltner 3, Marquez 2. So he's there. 43 of the top 50 fastest pitches since the start of 2023, according to StatCast, are owned by Chase Dollander. He's averaging 97.6 miles an hour on his four-seam fastball, which is in the 94th percentile, according to StatCast. So he's doing some special things. And today was a day where the results supported what Bud Black and the staff has been seeing. And it's nice to see that come to fruition in a somewhat of a big way. You know, I don't think his gear has anything to do with his success over the last two starts. But one thing I asked him was a little bit about the City Connect uniforms and if he had gotten any swag to support that. And no, he's not a big swag guy. Justin in the chat over on YouTube. Good to see you, buddy. Wild the Innocent asking update on Chase being pulled by Buddy. Yeah, had a cracked middle finger. That something he's been dealing with since spring training. He's been able to pitch through it. The nail had been staying on. The temporary nail had been staying on till just after his last start in Kansas City. So a little bit of bleeding there. And Buddy said post-game, look, a guy can tell you he's all right, but when he's bleeding, you want to err on the side of caution. And so I'm okay with that for a young guy like that. It's funny because over the weekend, it might have been Friday's start, we know that Kyle Freeland has been dealing with blisters. And I asked Buddy if he had ever had blisters when he was a pitcher for a long time in the major leagues. And that wasn't anything that ever really afflicted him. Mentioned it again today in the post-game conference that's just something that he's never really combated. Obviously, he's been around it as a professional pitcher and a manager, but it's something that might be hard to understand. Hey, how much more can you go on this? How much more damage can be done if you pitch on this? And so Dollander, he's a bulldog. He was fighting. He wanted to stay out there and finish that sixth inning to allow the bullpen to be that much more successful. Bird had to get up quickly. And thankfully, he is a guy that can do that now. As somewhat of a veteran in only his fourth season, he is definitely leading this bullpen in a big way. So good to see Dollander, okay, obviously in good spirits post-game. But he had said that after his debut against the A's, which he won, the second win for the Rockies this season, he went and got his cleats authenticated so he could have that, for his collection, and didn't really have a backup pair. So Adidas sent him one. If you remember in that second start in San Diego, it almost looked like he was wearing two different cleats because of the style. The inside of the cleat is like black, and then the outside is white. So if you're looking at him from the right side or the left side, it looks like a white cleat and a black cleat. But he has since gotten a repair cleat. He's gotten a good backup in there, and he's pitched well over his last two starts since doing that. So is that a factor? Who's to say? But he's certainly feeling good back on the mound. Going back to all the facets of the game working, offense probably could have, be a little bit better, but the defense was very much on point for both teams. We saw it in the first inning where Brenton Doyle looked a little shell-shocked because the simple fact that Matt Olson ran in foul territory, looked like he got lost a little bit, just tossed his mitt out and caught a foul ball for the first out in the bottom of the first inning. In fact, the ball got caught in his mitt, had to punch it out. Well, in the top of the next inning, Sean Bouchard returned the favor to Matt Olson and made a really great leaping catch. It was a late leap where he was leaping and he was actually coming down in order to catch the ball. It looked like his feet were flailing in the air as he jumped. Didn't get a chance to talk with him about that post-game, but that was absolutely a big play. And then you have the play that Christian Saez of DNVR pointing out about the fifth inning with a runner on second base. He goes to his right and makes a great play, gets the runner over at first base. That was Nick Allen, the speedy shortstop. Nick Allen, that right there saved a run. Atlanta scores that. We got ourselves a 2-2 ball game. And right now, the Rockies are having difficulty building their own momentum, maintaining their own momentum. So you lose that run, you give that one up in the fifth, and Chase, again, he's a professional, but he knows that could go my win right there. That could go the opportunity for me getting a win. I still got to go out. I still got to do a job, but that's not the case because of a great play there by Ryan McMahon. Doyle tracking one down, later on in the game where he got such a good jump on it, didn't even need to make a diving or sliding grab. Eddie Rosario ended up making a sliding grab on the right side. So the defense was crisp for Colorado. And that is, again, one of the things that has to happen. You have to have all facets, all legs of the stool working in unison in order to have a victory. And you saw it today, still only a 2-1 victory because not all of the legs were really, really strong. They were simply strong enough. And that's worth something for win number 5 for the Rockies. And now Colorado is no longer on a 22 game or 22 win pace, which was the case after Tuesday's loss. They were 4-25. They're now 5-25. It's wild that this is starting to really pick up a lot of traction nationally for how bad Colorado has been. And Chicago White Sox lost 121 games last year, and that record may only end up standing once or 1 year. The 1962 Mets had the record for 61 years, and now the White Sox may only have that record for 1 year. So we'll have to wait and see what happens if the Rockies can build a little bit of momentum. They were kind of like this last year where it wasn't until the second part of their second homestand where they were able to start winning more games consistently, or at least be around 500 at Coors Field. I think that's going to happen. I think that will happen. I don't know when. And if they wait too long, playing 500 at home for the rest of the season still is going to keep you under 500 because of how poorly you played in the first month plus. In the chat, enjoyed all the Doyle hard hit balls. He's coming back. Yeah, he absolutely. He's a guy that, despite missing those 10 games, he is tied for the lead, for the team lead with 14 RBI. So him getting going, I think, is important. Tovar should be coming back, hopefully not too much longer than a week. We know Jordan Beck is surging. He did have 3 strikeouts, unfortunately, on Wednesday. Ryan McMahon also 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. He's been in a real bad way, but he gave him a day off on Sunday, his first of the season, after starting the first 25 games of the 2025 campaign. But those 3 strikeouts gives him 14 strikeouts in his last 34 at-bats. In fact, he is now 0 for 34. That is a franchise record for hitless at-bats in a row. So struggling in a big way, Ryan McMahon, and yet he was still able to contribute defensively. And then post-game, when we all circled up around Zach Agnos to talk with him about his first career save and being put in a very big spot in the 9th inning of a 1-run ball game at this ballpark behind me right now. That can be a tough proposition for any player, but a 24-year-old rookie in only his 5th appearance going against a team that has won a World Series not that long ago in the middle of an Atlanta lineup that includes Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson, and Ozzie Albies. Yeah, he got that done. But as Ryan McMahon going by to get himself ready and packed up for this trip to San Francisco, shot out a comment about Agnos, like, hey, don't get too big of a head on you. So he's still leading by example. Now he's still leading in the clubhouse, which has value. It's something that Baseball Reference, StatHead, Fangraphs is never going to show, and that's fine. But that is one of those things that happen behind the scenes. So great job by Zach Agnos, a guy that is one of several that has that closer mentality right now in the Rockies bullpen. It's what's making them one of the best in the league right now. They've been really good. Agnos, 46 saves in the minors, which is a lot. That's saying something, because in the minor leagues, you don't get a ton of save opportunities. Sometimes this is your day to work, whether you're winning or losing. That's kind of inconsequential. But for Agnos to have 46 in the minors, a stat that Bud Black himself was even aware of, and for him to go out in a spot like this very quickly, earning the trust of Harry Ralston Black, that says a lot about Zach Agnos. So another guy for the bullpen that, as long as you can get yourself into a winning position during the first 6 frames of a ball game, it's going to greatly increase your chance of winning because of how strong that bullpen has been. Chris Sale, I was surprised to learn Mark Stout hit me up with a ton of stats. We love going back and forth with these crazy fun facts. First career start at Coors Field. This would be his last city to make a start in. hadn't pitched at the new ballpark in Arlington, but did it the previous for many years with the White Sox, of course. Hasn't pitched in Sacramento, but are we really counting that? So he has pitched in all 30 markets, we'll say, and did have 2 relief appearances. If you watch the game on Rockies TV, you probably already know this because I imagine Mark Stout was bringing this up. He always has great little facts and figures to bring up, but Stout pointing out that in Chris Sale's 2 relief appearances back in 2011 with the White Sox, it was 3 1/3 innings pitched, scoreless. He only allowed 2 hits. And who are those hits to? A left-handed batter in Charlie Blackmon in only his 19th and 20th career game. Incredible. That's baseball right there. And what's also baseball is some healthy razzing. I got razzed today in Atlanta's clubhouse. Let's get to a comment on the chat. What's going on, Jeff? Love seeing us win one, but honestly, aren't you a little sad we couldn't get the single worst team record this far in? Would be a first in something. I mean, the Rockies have already been at least tied for the worst record for a while. I mean, they get another 8-game losing streak. Look, San Francisco is a rough place. It's been historically a rough place for Colorado to play. They haven't won a season series on the road in San Francisco since 2015. 2008 was the other one. They were swept last year. They went 0-7 at Oracle Park, and they only won once in 2023. Since the start of 2021, the Rockies are 5-27. That's a 156 winning percentage in San Francisco. So hold your horses. 4-game losing streak coming up. I don't know. That's why they play these games. But Colorado does have a little bit of momentum right now going into Thursday's game. Kyle Freeland on the hill against the future Hall of Famer in Justin Verlander. Lux saying in the chat, Chase Dollander, better than Chris Sale, confirmed. If you beat the reigning National League Cy Young Award winner, does that make you now the Cy Young Award winner? Are we going with WWE rules here? I feel like that's really only fair, especially if you do it in your home ballpark. You're doing it at Coors Field. I mean, this is practically a cage match. This is a Hell in a Cell match. And Chase Dollander ended up coming out. He was bleeding. He gigged. Didn't have a crimson mask, but he did come away pretty banged up. But he does come away with the win. Chris Sale gets the loss. The new NL Cy Young Award winner, Chase Dollander. Not exactly how that works, but certainly fun to discuss. But I got razzed a little bit, and I'm glad I'm able to do this show live here at Coors Field because going to Atlanta's clubhouse, wanted to catch up with Pierce Johnson for something coming up later in a couple weeks from now. And great to see him. He's doing wonderful. He had his another scoreless outing here at Coors Field for Atlanta. He's been great since going over there at the 2023 trade deadline. Wanted to catch up with him. Didn't see him in the Atlanta's clubhouse and was running out of time before the clubhouse time closed. So went to the back to the guy in charge of their PR department saying, hey, have you seen Pierce? Is he around? And went to go and check. He was finishing up some weight training. And he said, he's going to be out. We are closing up clubhouse. So go wait in the hallway. He'll come out for you. And during this conversation, I noticed some of the players were almost doing a double take at me and doing a double take over at Grant Holmes of Atlanta. If you know what he looks like, you know, somewhat a resemblance of Kenny Powers. I don't know if I got a Kenny Powers look, but I do have the curly long hair just a little bit. And they started laughing. And sure enough, as I go to leave, the laughs get a little bit louder. And I know, all right, they're teasing me. They're teasing Grant as well. And Grant had a half smirk on his face, but didn't care that he was getting thrown into the mix on this because he's just an innocent bystander. And sure enough, as I walked out, he's eyeballing me. And of course I had to shoot him a little. Nice hair. And the guys broke up in laughter. So it was okay. I was okay. It was a fun kind of bullying, but didn't realize it until I saw him come in from that half of the clubhouse and realized, oh yeah, my hair's down today. It's getting pretty darn curly. I wonder if anyone's going to notice anything. Probably not. And he doesn't have a handlebar mustache. He's got like a Fu Manchu thing going on. So the facial hair isn't identical, but you know, could we be brothers separated at birth? Maybe. I know I certainly didn't get. I would be the Danny DeVito of that twin pair separated at birth. I'm not the professional pitcher. He is. The San Francisco series coming up. I'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow, but do want to at least tell you who the starting pitchers are going to be. Freeland and Verlander on Thursday. That's going to be at 7:45, a late one, but at least it's a Thursday night. Friday, even later, 8:15 Mountain Daylight Time. That one's going to be lefty Robbie Ray, who's been pretty solid this season, 3.0, 3.73 ERA against Antonio Senzatella. On Saturday and Sunday, you have 2:05 starts. Saturday, it's going to be Ryan Feltner against Jordan Hicks, and Sunday, Herman Marquez against Logan Webb. Do believe it was a Sunday game back in, I want to say, 2019, where Herman Marquez had himself a no-hitter deep into the game, maybe even the 8th inning at Oracle Park. It wasn't called Oracle Park back then, but in 2019, it was a Sunday, it was a day game, did have a deep no-hitter. I think it was Evan Longoria that broke up that no-hitter. So maybe lightning can strike twice. We know Marquez certainly needs that after the rough start he's had to his 2025, his first full season coming back from Tommy John surgery. Props to Christian Saez. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Justin, Wild the Innocent, Jeff, Lux, Justin, all you guys. Hope you enjoy the view today. They're tearing up the turf a little bit behind home plate. I guess they're getting some new turf. They're doing some aeration all over. The infield's looking a little messy, but it's wild to think they're going to be back in less than a week. Tuesday, a series against the Tigers. That's going to be the Tigers' third city on a long 10-game road trip. So maybe the Rockies can take advantage of the Tigers there. Appreciate everybody joining me. You can join me over on the social medias at Patrick D. Lyons, at Patrick D. Lyons MLB, and at Rockies_insider. Head over to the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, so you know when I'm going live, and you can join me, and you can go ahead and ask those questions when I'm live, and we can talk about whether or not there's going to be a sweep in play or not. So appreciate everybody in the chat. Even if you're listening to this audio only, you can go ahead and leave a review, leave a rating. That can go a very, very long way. So appreciate the momentum you've given me here today. But momentum, shoot, as I like to say, my momentum is only as good as my next show. So, of course, I'll talk to you tomorrow.